There's a storm brewing in South suburban Dalton, and its name is Tiffany Henyard. Once hailed as a fresh force in local politics, Henyard rose to prominence by branding herself the super mayor, promising transparency, transformation, and community empowerment. Her message resonated. Voters were hopeful, believing they had finally found a leader who understood their struggles and shared their dreams. But the very image she carefully constructed has now become unrecognizable. That cape of confidence, torn away by scandal. That bold leadership, recast as control. And that fearless mayor, now facing the harsh reality of federal investigation. This week, several new developments rocked Dalton. Most notably, the Illinois State Comptroller suspended payments to the village, citing Dalton's failure to submit required financial reports. That's not a minor clerical error. It's a legal obligation, one that shines a spotlight on the village's unraveling financial operations. No transparency, no accountability, no payments. Meanwhile, questions are swirling about why township resources were used to attend events meant for mayors, most notably, a national mayor's conference. Let's be clear. There's no reason anyone from Thornton Township had any business being there. This wasn't a simple political misstep. This was an implosion. When a mayor who crowned herself super mayor becomes the center of a federal probe, the crash landing is bound to be catastrophic. In Dalton, the tension is unmistakable. Residents are angry, boardrooms are volatile, and longtime allies are backing away. People who once defended Henyard are now whispering regrets behind closed doors or flipping entirely. Because here's the truth. Loyalty dies fast when the FBI starts knocking. At a recent Thornton Township Board meeting, frustration boiled over as trustees and citizens alike demanded answers. The township's financial records, according to one account, paint a bleak picture. One trustee described it not just as a failure of oversight, but as betrayal, silencing whistleblowers, firing people for speaking out. These aren't just red flags. They're deal breakers. No leader should even flirt with that line, let alone cross it. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping revelation is that $33,000 was reportedly spent on Amazon in a single day. This isn't poor money management. This is entitlement at its most grotesque. It's spending that doesn't reflect a budget-conscious leader, but a person who believes the rules simply don't apply to them. It's ego, not governance. And the damage? It's personal. It's deep. This isn't just about embezzlement or misappropriation. It's about the heartbreak that comes when a community puts its faith in someone, only to be left deceived and exploited. One of those brave enough to speak up was Carmen Carroll, a whistleblower who revealed a disturbing pattern within Henyard's administration: retaliation, fear, and professional sabotage. According to Carroll and others, voices of dissent were met with swift retribution. Loyalty wasn't earned, it was demanded. What began as a hopeful new chapter in Dalton's history has now become a textbook case in the dangers of unchecked power. Hoarded information, secretive decision-making, and lavish self-promotion replaced collaboration and transparency. Town hall meetings grew tense. Residents' questions were ignored or deflected, and the press? They kept digging and kept finding more. As the federal probe deepens and more subpoenas are served, the emotional toll on the community is impossible to ignore. What once looked like leadership now reeks of manipulation and mismanagement. And while Henyard has tried to maintain control, often restricting comments and shutting down questions at public meetings, the cracks in her administration are now too wide to hide. She styled herself as the people's mayor, but in the end, it seems her people were left in the dark, footing the bill for private indulgences, out-of-town getaways, and luxury lifestyles that have no place in public office. And let's not forget one of the more bizarre twists: the Good Burger Facebook flip. Henyard once owned a restaurant, Good Burger. When it closed, she rebranded the business's Facebook page into the Tiffany Henyard Cares Cancer Foundation. But when that foundation came under fire, she denied involvement, despite it being run directly from her old page. That's not just sloppy. It's bold-faced denial in the face of evidence. And when the feds start looking into charitable misuse, the consequences become even more serious. The FBI has now issued 5 subpoenas to Dalton and Thornton Township in the last 2 weeks alone. One of them demands information on officers assigned to Henyard's personal security, including one officer who reportedly logged over 300 hours in 2 weeks. Let's say it again, 300 hours. The most recent subpoena gives Dalton officials until May 20th to provide documents to a federal grand jury. That's a very real, very tight deadline. And it's closing in. Asterisk from super mayor to suspected criminal. Henyard's downfall is steep and painfully public. This isn't a political drama or a made-for-TV scandal. It's real people, real funds, and real consequences. The fall isn't just from power. It's from trust, from decency, from the basic expectation that leaders serve the people, not themselves. And now that Henyard is no longer in office, there's nothing stopping the full weight of federal justice from moving in. Investigators no longer have to navigate the complications of charging a sitting official. Now, it's open season. Dalton is left asking, will Tiffany Henyard become just another headline warning about unchecked power and corruption? Or is there still one last twist in her story? Either way, her empire isn't just crumbling, it's imploding in full view. Let's hope the next leaders remember what this all cost. Because Dalton deserves more, and its people deserve better. The village of Dalton deserves better. And now, with federal investigators closing in, only one question remains. Will Tiffany Henyard go down as yet another cautionary tale of power gone wrong? Or does she still have one last move no one sees coming? Drop your thoughts below, because this story is far from over. When a mayor who proudly branded herself super mayor ends up at the center of a federal investigation, the fall from grace isn't just inevitable, it's devastating. What we're witnessing in Dalton is a stunning unraveling fueled by unchecked power, towering ego, and an unrelenting betrayal of public trust. From the outside, Henyard once looked like a new chapter for Dalton, charismatic, bold, and seemingly progressive. But behind a polished image was a reality locals can no longer ignore. You could feel the tension in that room. Residents believed in Tiffany Henyard. They handed her their trust, their votes, their hopes for safer streets and smarter spending. But what they got in return wasn't accountability or progress. They got slick PR campaigns, luxury travel, and a leader more interested in image than service. And when a leader's own inner circle begins turning against them, the message is clear. The clock has run out. Loyalty fades fast when the FBI starts knocking. One of the most damning revelations? A reported $33,000 spent on Amazon in a single day. That's not poor leadership. That's arrogance. That's entitlement. That's believing the rules don't apply to you, that the public purse is yours to dip into at will. But it goes even deeper than spending. Whistleblowers like Carmen Carroll have come forward to expose a hostile culture that developed under Henyard's leadership, retaliation, intimidation, and firings of those who dare to speak up. Carmen's story isn't just a wake-up call. It's a gut punch. It reveals a mayor not only obsessed with control, but willing to silence victims and eliminate dissent. That's not just mismanagement. That's betrayal. On a deeply personal level, Tiffany Henyard's political journey started with charm, ambition, and a polished promise of transformation. She captivated voters with her fearless energy and image as a reformer. But once in office, the shine wore off quickly. Lavish travel, retaliatory firings, abuse of power. From Washington, D.C., trips charged the wrong entity, to high-priced security details and questionable charitable foundations. Every new headline peeled back another layer of dysfunction. Community meetings grew more tense. Residents demanded answers, and the media kept digging. Each revelation made it clearer. This wasn't about leadership. It was about control. As the FBI stepped in, the narrative shifted rapidly. Federal subpoenas, mounting legal pressure, and now a grand jury timeline. The once carefully curated image of Dalton's super mayor is crumbling in plain sight. What we're seeing now isn't just a scandal. It's a slow-motion collapse, playing out for all to witness. And the fallout? It's no longer just local. Dalton has become a national example, a warning sign of what happens when ego eclipses ethics and ambition goes unchecked. The line between public service and personal gain wasn't just blurred under Henyard. It was bulldozed. This story isn't a made-for-TV drama. It's not political theater. These are real people, whose real money was spent without oversight. These are real lives disrupted and betrayed. This isn't fiction. It's reality, one that's deeply painful for a town that placed its trust in the wrong hands. And now, as more insiders flip and investigators dig deeper, the fall of Henyard's political empire is almost complete. Almost. At this point, it's no longer a question of if Tiffany Henyard's story ends in disgrace. It's a matter of how. Will she become a permanent fixture in the cautionary tales of modern politics? Just another name on the list of public officials who thought they were untouchable until the law proved otherwise? Or does she have one last move up her sleeve? One that no one expects? Because as federal pressure intensifies and public outrage reaches its boiling point, one thing is certain. Dalton deserves better. And this story, it's far from over.